All right, countdown's over. Hi guys, it's me. It's Emily Haruko Lieb. Welcome to EmTV Live. It is Thursday, May 13th. It's Thursday, May 13th. Sorry, I'm on two devices here. We are streaming to our Facebook, my Facebook. We are streaming to YouTube right now. We are streaming to my Facebook business page that I never use. And we are also streaming live to Instagram, some IGTV. So this is EmTV Live. It's just EmTV if you're watching on the replay. Coming to you from beautiful Victoria, Vancouver Island, Western Canada, North America, planet Earth, Milky Way. All right, so today I wanted to come on and talk to you guys a little bit about vulnerability, taking action, and surrender, and how all of those things are actually married together. So what's going on here? Okay, I think we're good. Are we good? I think we're good. I can't see what both platforms are doing here, so hopefully we're good. Okay. This morning I was on having a conversation with my lovely colleague and peer, Mr. Jomar Gomez, who you guys might know from the video series that I do called The Well, which happens every other Wednesday. And I asked him, what's a topic for EmTV Live? What should I do an EmTV Live about? And he said, you are always really good at just being vulnerable in the moment and talking to whatever that vulnerability piece is. So I started thinking about, okay, feeling inspired to come on and do a live. What am I feeling vulnerable about in my life right now? What could I talk about? Where could I provide some value? And right away it hit me that what would be really vulnerable for me to share with you guys right now is that I've launched this Wild and Wise 2.0 mastermind and I've not had any enrollment yet. And beyond social media and just posting about it on social media, and sending one email. I've not been very in action in the enrollment process around the mastermind. And this is just feeling particularly poignant for me today because I literally just wrapped the previous cohort of the Wild and Wise. We just had our final call. And it was really powerful and it was really special for me to complete that journey with that group of women. And some of the things that were shared, I'll share in a moment of like some of the value that was created of these women that took this journey together with me as their guide over the last 6 months, and just like, whew, how humbling it was. There was tears. There's just so much gratitude, so much power, so much inspiration. And so it got me thinking about, oh, wow, it would be really vulnerable to come on and share an EmTV Live around how there's not currently any enrollment for Wild and Wise 2.0 that starts in 2 weeks. And what does that mean for me? And how does that make me feel? And like, what am I doing about it? And where am I going to go from here? And then particularly after having just wrapped with this group of women that just came through 6 months with me, and to see the changes that they've made in their lives and the impact that it's had, and how they are in relationships with themselves in a new way and with each other in a new way, and have this incredible support system where they know they can turn to, and all of them is welcome there. And that they can turn to these women for guidance and for support and for wisdom and connection and sisterhood. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that, just like outing myself there, that like that's a really vulnerable piece for me in my life right now. But one that I think is worthy of sort of keeping in check. And here's why, because I think that we really underestimate, ow, I just stubbed my toe on my chair of my leg, sorry. What's really powerful to remember is that sometimes when we get action in certain ways, action doesn't always yield the results that you think it is going to. So I'll give you an example. So I've put out this Wild and Wise 2.0 mastermind, and I'm trying to be in some inspired action around putting it out there. I could do more in the realm of inviting specific women who I think would be a good fit. And I may still do that because also transparently, vulnerably, like part of me wants to like pull the chute, right? It's supposed to start in 2 weeks. and like, oh, nobody's saying no, so I'm just gonna not do it, and like stop myself from being able to experience the full process of watching it either come to fruition or not come to fruition based on the time period that I set for it. So I'm going to ride it out the next 2 weeks and we're going to see what happens. But the part that I want to talk about, where action and why being in action is so important, and also where being in action, there is this element of surrender, because you don't always know the results that the action is going to yield, where like that you created, the action that you're in, you don't necessarily know what results it's going to be created. So here I am in action putting this mastermind out there. And while I've had no enrollment in the mastermind, I've actually gained 2 new clients. And I have another gig with a human potential platform where my work with them has then picked up. So it's just really interesting. And this has happened so many times in the past. And I think if you talk to a lot of entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, or really anybody, like let's just all look through this lens for a second. Where in your life have you been in action with something, moving towards something, and that action or simultaneous results were created not necessarily from the specific action that you took, but from some other way? Hi, Marianne. From some other way, in which you didn't see coming. So this idea that being in action is actually the thing that creates results, but the results aren't necessarily created by the action that you took. So what I'm saying is that creating momentum in your life, creating movement in your life, that is the thing that generates results. You have to be in action. You have to be in creation, but you have to surrender the results that you think are going to be created based on the action that you take, and be open to results being created in a 360-degree way, where you have no idea where those results are going to be created from. But I truly, genuinely believe you have to be in action around something, but it's not necessarily that action that creates the results that you want. So again, I've been putting this mastermind out there, and I haven't created results within the mastermind, but the results that I'm creating are, 2 new one-on-one clients and an increase in workflow with the startup that I'm a part of. And so it's just really interesting to see how that plays out. And that's where this piece of surrender, I think, is also so important. This idea that we can have clear intentions, that we can be in inspired action, and this beautiful practice that we get to be in surrendering the insistence on it looking or coming to fruition in a certain way. You have no idea where the results are going to be created from, what's going to be generated. And we get to literally surrender that. We get to surrender the insistence on what we think the results are supposed to look like. And we get to simply be in action and watch the unfolding. And yes, have clear intentions. And yes, take inspired action. And also, can you allow yourself to be surprised by the magic and the miracles and the results that get created simply through, like, as a byproduct of the energetic shift that you create, of the frequency to which you tune yourself to, that then opens you up to receive these different results, that opens you up to being in creation in a new way. So that, my friends, is a little bit of a vulnerable share with what's up for me career-wise at the moment. And then I thought, just again, because it's poignant that I just wrapped with this group, that I'm talking about what's vulnerable for me, is like, I don't know if the next cohort of women is going to follow through or not. I have a surrender around that, it frees me up to do more of the work that I'm being called to do with a startup called Abroad, and all of the fun stuff that's going on there. But anyways, what I thought I would do is I would just share a couple tidbits of what some of the women that just came through the final cohort, or the cohort, this last cohort of Wild and Wise. And one of the things that was so beautiful that was shared today was someone said that they didn't realize how much they needed the connection that was created in the group. So especially going through this time of COVID and isolation and all of these, different aspects of life that are unfolding right now, this woman wasn't aware of one of the biggest pieces of value that she would create for herself through this process was the connection piece. Was that every 2 weeks, these women are showing up for each other and for themselves on these calls and creating a tremendous amount of value for each other and for themselves by showing up as their full selves in an environment where they are totally accepted, that is, judgment free, that is growth oriented. And the distinction that I got from her share, because she was talking about, she can go on social media and she can talk and she can but what she really vibes with, what she really values is that connection, right? Like what I heard was like this reciprocity piece that gets created in this group and with groups, with powerful groups that are, facilitated well and that have wonderful participants. So the distinction that I got was that connection is facilitated through dialogue. So what happens in this mastermind is that there is a energy, a commitment, a stand for reciprocity within the group. So women are learning from one another. They're sharing themselves fully, vulnerably, transparently, what's going on in their lives, what their deepest desires are, where they're stuck, where they may be getting in their own way, what their blind spots may be, what they're not even aware of, that they're unaware of. So big, huge piece of value there, that we get to create a container of connection through dialogue, essentially reciprocity within the group. So that was huge. I loved that. Another huge piece of value that's created was a safe space for women to show up every couple weeks and just be fully themselves and fully transparent and share as much or as little as they like with what's going on in their world, be accepted and supported through all of that. And that this is a really safe space for people to just be their full selves. What else did I get? Okay, and then I'll leave you with this final distinction. The way that I facilitate the mastermind is by coaching what shows up. So there are a lot of other programs out there where you can go and essentially follow a curriculum, a specific guided facilitation process that leads you from like one module to the next module to the next module. Those are totally awesome. That's not what Wild and Wise is. Wild and Wise is an unscripted, unpredicted, unknown journey of what's going to arise in each call based on what each woman brings. And we get to coach what shows up. We get to hold a valuable, specific container for women to explore and be with and name and acknowledge all that's going on in their life. So I thought that this was a really powerful reminder for me to own and also to share that the best way in which I can facilitate a group of women is by being unscripted and coaching what shows up and allowing there to be room for all of what everybody is going through. And in that vein, I want to identify that what we do in Wild and Wise is coaching. It's not teaching. I could create a program where I teach you all of the skills that I have and that I've cultivated, over my 8 years in doing this work in depth. And I could bestow to you a skill set, a manual, a tool guide in which, I'm sure would be really valuable. That's not what Wild and Wise is. Wild and Wise is women showing up as their authentic selves every 2 weeks for a period of 6 months and coaching what shows up in their life. Getting real with what's going on, getting real with how are they getting in their own way, getting real with supporting one another, being transparent, accepting their full selves. The container of the Wild and Wise is the place where women get to show up and practice being their full authentic self so that they can take their full authentic self out into this scary world where sometimes it's really scary to be fully authentic and to live with an open heart and to just, be willing to be fully alive through all of the experiences that life has to throw at you. The Wild and Wise Mastermind, the container that we create every 2 weeks with this group of women, is the place where they get to show up and practice being in their authenticity so that they can live more authentically out into the world. We create connection through dialogue and reciprocity. We create a safe space by bringing all of ourselves and allowing other women to show up in their full selves. And we literally get to co-create magic and miracles from that space. It is truly beautiful. So it really would be, I think, a shame if this next, cohort of the mastermind doesn't go through. But I also know that I fully trust and surrender that, what is meant to come to fruition will. And that doesn't mean resignation and not putting in effort. Certainly not. You'll probably, if you're watching this now and you're following me along my journey, you'll probably see me getting in a little bit more action around the Wild and Wise to see what happens over the next 2 weeks. And maybe it'll come to fruition and maybe it won't. And I get to work with, that and whatever the result is as it shows up. So in that vein, that's my vulnerable share. That's you guys seeing me in my vulnerability. That's you guys seeing me in my action, also being able to distinguish and talk about and hopefully bestow and gift to you how important it is to be in action and also to surrender the results that you think should be created. Surrendering the insistence on what you think it is supposed to look like. And allowing what it is really supposed to look like to just naturally come to fruition. If you guys have any topics that you would like me to discuss on EmTV, I'm totally open to you sending me a message. And if you know any women or people that identify as women and are looking for a container where they get to show up and support themselves over the period of 6 months, I would encourage you to either pass this video along to them or introduce me to them in the chat or tag me in something and let's see what happens. Thanks for receiving me. If you have watched this far, whether you're here live or on the replay, thank you for being here with me. Thanks for spending this time with me. I hope you found at least a little bit of value in this video, and I'm sending you guys so much love and resilience, and strength and power and tenderness through all of what's going on. Thanks, Marianne. Marianne is also an alumni of the Wild and Wise, and she says, best thing I've done, heart, heart. Thank you for that, Marianne. Appreciate it. I'll be back soon. Lots of love to you guys. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao, Instagram. Bye-bye, Facebook.